Hello, Levitical Kingdom Privateers. On September the 12th and 13th, we are hosting the first annual Holy Nation of the Ecclesia Conference. The theme is Threshold Covenant, with great worship brought to us by the Woodcock Singers, a great MC known as Plain Flyer 21, speakers like Dr. Mike Spalding, Jim Odell, Randy Conway, C2K Rick, and our keynote speaker, the world-renowned Vicki Joy Anderson. And don't miss a very special and world-altering Friday night event that will equip you for what is coming. Admission is free for our naturalized families and very affordable for our guests. Head over to c2kreport.com and scroll down on the homepage to find our link to purchase tickets for your friends and family. And remember, it's all about the blood.
Okay. You're saying they're brainwashing. Okay, you're saying these people that are experts in brainwashing is using the Department of Education to brainwash our children.
Yes.
What are they after? Why are they doing it?
Well, if you want to move a country from a free individualistic economy,
Which we have.
yes, or had,
Or had, okay.
to a planned economy, you have to do it through the schools. You have to dumb down and brainwash, change the attitudes and values. You have to completely, social engineering has to go on constantly, and many teachers know what I'm talking about. And people are going to say, well, when did this start? And who on earth ever did this? Why would a plan like that be allowed to be carried out?
That's right.
Well, then you have to go back to 1934, which I will do, and we have to go to the three-pronged fork, okay? So I do think that the watershed year, although you can go back to the early part of the century when the Rockefeller Foundation and the Carnegie Corporation were deeply involved in education, and that it was decided then that Carnegie would deal with the international part and Rockefeller domestic. They commissioned the American Historical Association to put together a study of the social studies, and they came up with lots of volumes, but I have one little volume, Conclusions and Recommendations for the Social Studies. And basically that little one is an original book. I wish I'd brought it with me. Too bad. But I don't even dare let it out of the house. It's so important. It called for changing the United States through the schools from a free individualistic economy to a socialist, collectivized, planned economy in the New World Order.
It says that in the book?
Yes.
And that book was written when?
In 1934.
By who?
It was the Carnegie Corporation paid for it. The American Historical Association put it together. And
can people get that book in the library?
No. No, they can't. They were very instrumental in getting the Elementary and Secondary Education Act passed, which, as I said before, changed education from knowledge, content-based, academic, to performance-based behavior. And from that time on, because that was necessary for what we're looking at now with school to work agenda is the planned economy is performance-based.
So they're training workers.
They're training
not
little
thinkers,
worker
not
bees.
leaders.
Exactly. At that time, you had a general, Buck Chisholm, a Canadian general psychiatrist, who was a very close friend of Alger Hiss's. And he gave a speech in 1945 to the World Health Organization, which basically recommended getting rid of the conscience.
Wow.
Yes. And he said we would do it through the schools. We would retrain the teachers to be little psychiatrists. He said it is an international system they're looking at. They're going to change the behavior of the children. They're going to change the teachers' training. They're going to do everything. He told them everything.
And they didn't believe him?
No, they just let, well, you know what goes on.
Hello and welcome to Privateers Volley. I'm Rick Hidalgo, and today we talk about the dumbing down of America. Yes, it's a book that came out by Charlotte Iserby. And Charlotte Iserby was a member of Reagan's Department of Education. Now, I don't remember the exact position that she held, but she was part of his staff in the Department of Education. She ran across some documents that gave absolute proof to dare we call it a conspiracy, to bring communist, socialist, from classroom to workforce thinking. It was a plan to literally keep kids from having critical thinking capabilities. They would not be able to think for themselves, but it was all standardized test based. Standardized test based. And then they would fund the schools that had the best test scores. So there would be a constant competition to for those dollars, and those dollars would go to support just a plethora of programs that help to recycle the mind, get it out of its natural mode of critical thinking and into this constant subservience to rules and dictation. So whether you call it a conspiracy or not is not the point. It is a legitimate thing. It actually is, it actually is happening. It actually has happened. And, she takes it back to the Rockefeller Foundation taking over education back in the 30s. And while that might have some effect on it, I tend to take it back to post-war America, Operation Paperclip, and all of the different aspects of World War II that were now being naturalized into our American experience. And those concepts, which earnestly began in the 50s and worked their way through the 60s, which were just a mess. And the 70s is when it kind of all started to calm down. In the 80s, we saw the great growth of Americana. We saw kind of the fusion of their plan and America. It was kind of the Hellenizing, if you will. What the Greeks experienced back in the intertestamental period, we are experiencing now. Let's call it Americanism. I don't know, for lack of a better term. I hate to gatekeep terms anyway. So I'd rather not use terms and just kind of explain what I'm talking about. So this is a legitimate thing that everyone should look up. And if you can get a hold of The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America, it's actually a book that was put out by Charlotte Iserby. And it kind of profiles the entire saga. Now, today, the easiest way to fix that is not to homeschool. Okay, again, homeschool is a statutory term. It is an allowable thing within the statutory system. They will exempt you from mandatory class, the compulsion to come to class if you homeschool. But they're going to have the ability at any time to check and make sure that you're doing things in accordance to the rules, right? It's far better to come out of Babylon and just to teach your kids as the Lord has instructed you to do so. And to do so means that you take complete authority over every element of your children, not just their being, but also their estate. And if you don't know what I mean by that, go to c2kreport.com and get started, okay? Because you've got quite a journey of learning to get through. With that said, this is legit. This is real, and I think we can really see the consequences of it today if we look through the American education experience and the lack of critical thinking that people have today. And I don't mean this newest generation. My generation lacks critical thinking. They do. They just lack critical thinking. We somehow, just for example, we somehow believe that today we can't get through the Van Allen belt to make it to the moon, but they did in the 60s. In the 60s, in a tin can, they were able to get through the Van Allen belt, which would have killed everybody. Not once, but twice, on the way there and on the way back, in a tin can. So if you believe that the walking on the moon was real, well, that's your business, but it's kind of impossible. So with that said, really I have nothing else to cover today. So if you are interested, go out and get yourself a copy of The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America, and begin to study and to show yourselves approved, and to understand what's been kind of forced down your throat in America through the public education system. With that said, this has been another Privateers Volley. Thank you for watching, and everything we do, it's all about the blood. See you next time.